Well, in the midst of the pandemic, Las Vegas making news for all the wrong reasons when it came to our students. And Clark County School District saying, there's been a pretty rapid increase when it came to youth suicides within the Clark County School District. Incredibly sad. Obviously, a lot of stress, obviously, on the parents, but the kids as well. So, how can we keep our kids thinking clearly and preventing them from possibly taking a decision they can't take?
That's right. Here to discuss and give us some great advice, Dr. Jeff Morawski, back on the show. He's the Chief Medical Officer with Silver Summit Health Plan. Before we get into this pretty heavy issue, Doctor, and I know you have a good feel for what's going on around the Valley right now, let's talk about how Silver Summit can assist people, even when it comes to mental health.
Silver Summit is a high quality health plan that focuses on improving our individual members' lives, one person at a time. We provide complex, coordinated care services to help people get to all the resources that need. And that includes mental health services and physical health services. They're both just as equally important in living a full and productive life.
No doubt. Well, let's talk about youth depression and suicide. I think that there's a
Yeah.
spotlight that's being put on this more and more as the years go on because it's becoming a significant problem.
It's always been with us, but I think our attention's becoming more focused, especially with the pandemic and
Yeah.
counting the numbers. 18 young people took their lives during the 9 months of the pandemic that they've measured so far. That's double what we usually see.
Yeah.
Um, and suicide is the second leading cause of death in youth between 15 and 24. It only sits right behind trauma. So it's a
Wow.
serious issue.
Yeah, it's a serious issue. And, adults also have been going through what is a very difficult time. I think that, human beings, we are social creatures. And so to be removed from that contact with people, from friendships, from interaction, from joy, really has really affected adults and the kids.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell us a little bit more about the impact on youth suicide just right here in the Valley, and then where people can go for help.
sure. I mean, you suicide, you bring it up really importantly. Isolation is one of the greatest factors in suicide. It's why it's higher in folks that are younger, right? The teenage years and even younger are full of social isolation, even when you're surrounded by people. It's an isolation time. Adults now, we all are experiencing more social isolation. There are other factors that increase suicide rates. Unfortunately, there are socioeconomic factors like poverty, but things like hunger increase the suicide rate, not being housed, having other social issues. LGBTQX
Yeah.
members are more higher, Native American and Alaskans are higher. So we have to think about
Mm.
all of that as we look at what we can do. And the pandemic's added to that.
Yeah.
There's lots you can do. You have to recognize it and direct people toward help.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about recognizing and having known a parent that lost their child to a suicide, a man way, way too young. And being a parent now, you want to be able to catch stuff early and head it off at the
Yeah.
pass. What are the warning signs that should be on the lookout for?
I think that's the most important thing. Disconnection. So, unconnecting from all the people and things around you. That's harder to tell during the pandemic because we're all disconnected a lot more. Sleeplessness or excessive sleep. So, either of those extremes. Um, Hopelessness and helplessness. So, talking to your kids in particular, giving them time to answer. I know I'm horrible at it and my own kids. Just giving them that space to talk, but getting that sense from them of hopelessness or helplessness. Um, you know, Odd internet searches if you're really going to get deep in the computer with them on what goes on there. Just wanting to be alone all the time, and truly changing friend groups are all things that just should make you ask people. And it's okay to ask your kids. Even older kids, right? Do you feel hopeless? Do you feel like you'd want to hurt yourself? That doesn't increase the risk of suicide by asking the question. It's been shown it doesn't. Ask the question, then
I
get
tell
them
you,
help.
you really do have to ask, and sometimes multiple times, Doctor. I've shared with you before that I went away for high school, and it was a very isolating time. Although my education was amazing, I was very homesick and very lonely. And if you would have asked me, I would have said, "I'm fine."
Yeah.
So sometimes it takes that multiple asking, and that I think the adult's instinct that there's something more happening. You have a number to share. It is the suicide prevention hotline.
It is, 1-800-273-8255 or talk. So 273 TALK.
Mhm.
That's the National Suicide Hotline. It's wonderful at helping people who are concerned that someone is suicidal, kind of help them walk through how they might have that conversation. When you get the answer, I'm fine, which isn't an answer, um, you know, people aren't fine.
Yeah.
People are okay. So
Yeah.
helping with that. But it also can help people who are actively in crisis and help them get to resources locally.
Excellent. And really quickly before we go, open enrollment happening again for the ACA, the Obamacare.
Yeah. Yeah, the pandemic, just made it difficult for people, lots of changes. So the from 215 until 515, the Advantage Marketplace. So that's the Obamacare. That's open again for enrollment. So, consider that if that's an option for you.
Awesome. Dr. Jeff Morosky,
Great.
great to have you.
Dr. Jeff, thank you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
All right, if you want to learn more about Silver Summit Health Plan, you go to silversummithealthplan.com. Wow, it's a great domain if you want to learn more about Silver Summit Health Plan, who happen to be a proud sponsor of the Morning Blend.